Salutations, Hiker Trash. I said that I was going to list 3 things that hikers need to prepare in order to get ready for their thru hike, and I have listed 2. But before I list the 3rd important thing hikers need to prepare for, I want to list 10 things hikers do not need to prepare for, especially when they're planning for a major thru hike. These 10 things were things I was worried about, but which, as I learned from people who hike the trail, and from hiking the trail myself, that fear was misplaced. So, here are your 10 things. Thing number 1 that you do not have to worry about is your trail name, how and when you will get it. Your trail name is going to be assigned to you in a way that is most natural. It's going to happen organically, and it can take a couple of weeks. I was very fortunate to receive mine on day 1, and I was very pleased with it. But I'm also going to say that there's a chance that maybe you'll get a name or a recommendation for a name you don't like, and you don't have to keep it. You're hiking your own hike. You are going to know when the glove fits, so to speak. Do not worry about your trail name. Thing number 2 not to worry about, solving every problem. The reality is that you can prepare for every problem that you'll encounter on the trail, that you think you'll encounter on the trail, and you will still be insufficiently prepared, because I guarantee you when you get out there and hike, you are going to experience problems that you could not have foreseen. And I would even bet problems, in some cases, that nobody else on Earth has experienced before. There's really no way to prepare for a problem. So instead, I suggest that you prepare for preventing those problems from happening in the first place. And otherwise, just being prepared to meet those problems as they occur. But fretting over every problem that's going to happen before you're even on the trail is just a waste of time, and it compromises your ability to prepare your brain, like I talked about in the first of these videos. Thing number 3, you do not need to worry about how fancy your gear looks. You are going to look like a rainbow trout, the amount of different colors you're going to have on your body if you're buying your gear properly. I say that because when you buy your gear, you should not pay any heed to what you look like, only how effective the gear you buy will be in getting you to your destination. I've never been one for fashion, but I have no regrets in buying the hat with the ugliest back flap. I have no regrets in buying hot pink bags for my food. I have no regrets in buying something that would save me a couple of dollars of super expensive hiking gear, even though I know it's just as effective as the ones that are colored more suitable to our aesthetical tastes. People aren't going to care how you walked across the country so much as they're going to care that you did. So just worry about function over form. Okay, thing number 4, you do not need to worry about being eaten alive by animals. I'm going to maybe expand on that by saying not just animals, but you don't need to worry about death in general. There's a lot of widely publicized instances of people dying on major thru hiking trails, but one thing you have to keep in mind is the overwhelming majority of those deaths seem to be from people who were weekenders or day hikers even, and they attach this really bad reputation to the trail but don't really have any connection to it. As for those people that did die on the trail, yes, it's absolutely tragic, and yes, backpacking is dangerous, but you need to keep in mind that thousands and thousands of people are hiking these major trails every year. And when you hear about one high-profile death in a number of years, that proportionally is less death than you will encounter in real life surrounded by thousands of people. And I can tell you that of all of the fatalities that I have researched on the thru hikes I have done, 0 of them have come from people being eaten alive by animals. So stop worrying about it. I get it. Animals are scary, but they're not going to kill you. All right, thing number 5, which you need not worry about, is scheduling it all out. Your schedule that you make at the beginning of your hike, and everybody seems to fall into this error at some point or another, it might give you peace of mind, but by the first week, your schedule will be of no use to you. You will be hiking faster or slower than you could have predicted. You will find that you probably packed or planned on packing too much food, and ultimately, your schedule is inhibiting your ability to hike the way you hike best. So I don't even recommend making one to begin with. Scheduling is kind of like solving every problem before you get on the trail. Just be prepared, and you won't need to schedule anything. Now, of course, you might need to make a hotel reservation if you plan on getting into town or something like that, especially if you're mailing packages to yourself. But these things do not need to be fretted over, and usually can be taken care of within the time frame of one town to the next. So, just something to think about. I'll be talking more about mailing packages and so forth in another video. Okay, number 6. You do not need to worry about doing big mile days. Okay? Look, I get it. You have a lot of miles to hike, and you feel like you're not going to be able to do it in the months you have, especially with some of the earlier days of hiking where some people are even hiking in the single digits throughout an entire day. And there's no shame in this, because you're going to find that as you hike, you're going to double, or in some cases even triple, the amount of miles you're doing near the end of your hike from where you started at the beginning. You should not ever be worried about the number of miles you're doing in a day, especially if it's drawing from your overall enjoyment of the experience. Your body will adapt, and it might take a month or two, but you just need to keep putting in the effort, and I promise you, you will see the results of much larger days in mileage. So don't worry about it. Just get out there and hike. Thing number 7, you do not need to worry about not completing the trail. Lots of people get this performance anxiety, and this kind of piggybacks off of the last thing I talked about, that they're not going to be able to complete the trail with the time they have. And I'm going to tell you that you shouldn't be so concerned about completing the trail as you should be about hiking the trail every day that you're there. I guess it's a bit trite to say that you should just be focusing on the present, but that's really all you have to focus on in the rigors of hiking. So just give your all to the present day, and look, it might be the case that you succumb to some kind of injury and you need to get off the trail, or maybe it's the case that there's some big life event that forces you to leave and you don't complete the whole thing. The most important thing is that you're getting the most out of this experience, and you get the most out of this experience by putting the most into it. And you will find that if you do put the most into it, yes, you are more likely to succeed, but in the event that you don't succeed, you're still going to be very proud of what you did. So don't worry about that either. Do not worry about failing to complete your awesome adventure. Thing number 8. You do not need to worry about how you're going to get to and from the trail. And that includes how you're going to transport yourself to the trailhead, how you're going to get to and from town. A lot of these trails have received a lot more traffic in the years that they've existed than you're probably aware of. Locals where the trail intersects a road are aware of thru hikers. People in major cities are more than willing to accommodate you and help you get to the trail, especially if you get in touch with them through various social media pages. You're going to find that there are many blazed trails outside of the trail to the trail than you're aware of, and you do not need to fret about how you're actually going to get to mile 0. Now, when it comes to hitchhiking, that can be a little scary at first for a lot of people, but I'm going to tell you in another video everything you need to know about how to successfully hitchhike on your thru hike. So with that being said, we're going to move on to thing number 9. And this is going to come as a surprise to a lot of people, and I hope I get pushback for it. The 9th thing that you should not worry about in preparation for your thru hike is your fitness. Okay, I'm going to qualify that by saying, yes, you should probably have some working familiarity with your body type, with your energy levels, and should be comfortable with endurance activities. However, if you are overweight, or if you are doubtful about your physical prowess for the trail, I'm telling you right now that those two things especially don't really matter, especially if you come from even the most modest background of physical fitness. There is no way to train for a trail like this. I myself come from a background of endurance sports, so lots of long distance running, but you're going to be walking longer distances for longer periods of time than even those athletes. And you are going to find that there's really no way you can train for a week-long walk without walking for a week long. As far as being overweight goes, you really don't need to worry about that because no matter how heavy or light you are, your body is going to adapt to the change in ways you can't imagine. When I did my thru hike, I lost 30 pounds, which I did not think I could lose, just from doing the amount of walking that I felt comfortable doing. I've known people who have rather large BMIs, but who nonetheless put in all the effort they could into hiking the trail, and sometimes their days for months were only ever single-digit miles, but they were still losing lots of weight, gaining lots of muscle, and ultimately possessed a supreme self-satisfaction over the fact that they were doing something that was decidedly outside of their comfort zone. The point I'm trying to make here is that your fitness is not a big a deal as you think it is, so much as you actually getting out there and giving it your all. Fitness is not a priority for preparing for the trail. And thing number 10, which you do not need to worry about, or at least should not have to fret over, is what happens afterwards. Yes, you should probably think about job prospects, especially if you're going to be cutting it close with your finances. But what I mean to say is that when it comes to finishing this trail, you're going to find that it's not the end or the beginning of your life. You are just going to find that it was another part of it, that there are still careers to build, that there are still destinies to forge, and they will be waiting for you, most likely right where you left them. People often erroneously think that going on a major thru hike is an escape from the world, a situation where you're kind of just letting life pass you by. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's everybody else who's stuck in the rat races, everybody else who's putting their dreams on deferment. You, on the other hand, will have been one of the elect few to go ahead and seize your opportunity and achieve a dream. And it's tragic that a lot of people out there can't even say that they've done that. So I hope this has given you some food for thought. 10 things maybe you thought about worrying about, maybe you thought were important to the rigors of hiking, but really weren't all that important. There are many other things, I'm sure, which I'm not thinking of, but these are the 10 which came to my mind. If you have any questions or any pushback, I'd love to hear it. However, for my part, these 10 things have proved to be true in all of my hiking adventures, and I hope that they have been of some benefit to you as well. So thank you for listening. Be sure to tune in for my next video, which should be up within a matter of days.